All right, what's up, guys? It's time for another episode or another video of Chibino Podcast. You got me, David the Smash Fan,
Monster Tech Guy.
Mister.
and it's only three of us today, but that's all okay. And today, this video is going to be about Dragon Ball Superhero. It finally came out in the US a few days ago, and Mr. and I had the opportunity to watch it twice. We watched it once with Miles, and then the other time we saw it with our brother Oscar, because he got upset that we saw it without him, but he was working, so not much we could do.
That's all on him.
Yeah, so we want to talk about this because this movie has there was a lot of controversy going into the movie with production, with the style that they decided to go with this movie, and then obviously who they chose to be the focus of the movie. And so it's been kind of a weird road to where we got to. And we just want to talk about it. So let's go over just some stuff overall, like what we thought of the movie without going into spoilers yet. And I mean, I'm pretty sure most people have seen it. If you have TikTok and you follow anything Dragon Ball Z, I'm pretty sure you got spoiled on this already in some capacity.
Yeah.
But if you haven't, good for you, because you're like Heather, who somehow managed to avoid all Spider-Man No Way Home and went into the movie blind. I don't know how, but maybe you're just that good.
That's
So
props. Wow.
yeah. So let's talk about Dragon Ball Superhero. So one thing I wanted to bring up, and this actually to me was a really big thing. Again, this is a spoiler for you right now. Had to be the music. Now, what's really interesting is that this movie didn't have an actual theme song. Like for Broly, it had the song Blizzard. For Resurrection F, they had one from Maximum the Hormone. For Battle of Gods, they had one from the band Flow. But this one didn't have it. And honestly, I don't think it needed it. I think there might be some other production issues or something like that maybe says otherwise. But I think this movie is really interesting because it does. I think it lived to the theme of superhero, because it had the music, the soundtrack of being very epic with a lot of brass, with this theme that plays in different parts of the movie when it's supposed to sound heroic, and then parts when it's supposed to sound sad or intense. And I really loved it. I don't know if you guys caught the right.
I agree. It had I guess you would say the traditional superhero music score, with like the violins and like they're repeating that same song that's linked to like the superhero movies.
Mm-hmm.
So they did. That's what it was.
I think I heard like a lot of influence from, how do I explain this? Your typical tropes of like superheroes, right? But then they did it in like a battle anime stance. So that's, I think, what I really liked. It did encompass kind of that the typical type of superhero type music, but then they just added the triumphants to it. It was great.
Yeah, and it just added, like I said, they use this in different parts. So they use this obviously with the Gammas, they use this with Gohan and Piccolo fighting, but they also used this score when you saw Goku and Vegeta fight. Now it's funny because they have no presence in this movie in terms of nothing that they do in this movie affects what happens in the main plot, but they put in the score, a version of the score, when Vegeta and Goku are fighting. And that was so cool. It made me really hype when I was actually watching. I was like, I don't care if this has nothing to do with the movie. This is cool to watch. Just hearing the music, hearing how they're fighting, it was just awesome.
Agreed.
And aside from the music, I honestly gotta say, I actually was impressed with the animation. I think we all had this same sigh of like when we first saw the trailer, like the first like teaser when it's just Goku, and I was like, what the F is this?
The video game stuff,
Yeah.
CGI.
I was like, is this a downgraded version of Dragon Ball FighterZ? What the F is this?
I agree. Yeah, I was very, very concerned. I think they did it justice, though. It was a lot better than the first reveal. A lot better than what we've seen in early trailers, early promos. They definitely, the fluidity of it, they did it. I've never really seen anything like this. It was very, very well done, actually.
Agreed. I think I think they nailed it perfectly on. They nailed it perfectly for what they were giving us, and on top of that, like, I don't know, maybe it's weird to say it, there wasn't that much promotion for the film, so I felt like we were going in there with like just like low expectations, like exclusive, like ridiculously low expectations. I don't know if you guys felt that way. That's how I felt.
I would say the
Not so
same.
low expectations I felt, but I wasn't exactly like. I don't know. I was worried it was gonna be like a Bio Broly or something, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, I was hoping not. I was like, no, that's such a low bar. Like, if it was that bad and they put this much money into it, and they're showing off this new animation style, I would have been so pissed if they came out to be that bad. But it wasn't. Like I think, like Miss said, I was genuinely surprised, and I genuinely liked everything that happened in this movie. And what's interesting is, and we talked about, I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, but we talked about it off screen, but this movie was not really promoted in the US that much, if anything. Like, we got the trailers in Japan, we got the trailer at San Diego Comic-Con, something at Anime Expo, but that's pretty much it. Like, there's nothing
very,
else.
very short too. Like, they didn't really hype much out of it, I felt.
And the trailers for the English dub did not come out until, what was it, last month? That's the first time we got them. And that's so weird, given the fact that Funimation was acquired by Crunchyroll, and now Sony owns all of them. Crunchyroll has a bigger influence. They know that Funimation, they were good at promoting it. So it was weird that when this acquisition happened, I thought that they would push more for this movie, but nothing. It was just so odd with all of the resources and all the money they have, didn't really do much. However, this is where I wanted to bring this up, is despite the fact that it wasn't promoted that much, this movie, as of today, so August 23rd, 2022, it made over $21 million in the US by itself. Now, if you look at the numbers in Japan, that entire run, I think, made a little less than 20 million, right, Mr. Something like that?
Something like that, yeah, pretty much that number.
And so it's crazy and I can only imagine how much more money this could have made had they promoted like they did Broly, had they had the banner at Times Square showing superhero, Dragon Ball Superhero coming out soon. Like, I can only imagine how good or how much more money they could have made. And it's funny because now this movie, it is the highest grossing weekend movie of any Dragon Ball movie, period. It beat out Broly, which I thought was ridiculous.
That is weird. You know, it's really weird too when you look at the promotions that they did. It wasn't until, like you said, the last months we started getting bigger trailers, especially for the American part. But primarily for the introduction and most throughout the year of watching trailers, I'm wondering if they were worried about how fans are perceiving movies strictly just Piccolo and Gohan. And the reason why I say that is because most of the trailers, they mostly focus on who the new villains are and little bits of cast of each character in the trailer, and that's it. There's nothing really, for the majority of all trailers, even indicating this is Gohan and Piccolo movie. Like, they really did not structure it for you to understand what's gonna, necessarily be the plot besides some recreation of androids. So, but it's ironic though, because I've seen from not just between our group, but other groups that I've talked to as well, a lot of people really, really liked it just being Gohan and Piccolo.
Same. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
That's what I loved about it.
I think that's what, like, going back to like the promotion stuff, I think that's why it wasn't promoted as heavily, because it was a Gohan and Piccolo film, and that's why they incorporated Piccolo,
like little snippets, right, of Vegeta,
and Goku for like 15 minutes of the whole film total, I guess. Would you say about 10 minutes maybe?
Probably less.
Yeah, somewhere under 10 minutes, but that's what they did. And so it's like, okay, but do I want this? This is my thought process.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Gohan's not a hidden love for fans, but he's that underdog that we always wish would come back, and when he comes back in epic forms like they did at this one, I just think it did justice. it was so great going back to the Gohan and Piccolo, and just having Gohan be the main character once again, and it's just really, really, really freaking refreshing.
It is.
And it goes to show that they can lead the show without Goku and Vegeta all the time. Like, it was just very well done, in my opinion.
I think one thing that going into this movie, and I think this is with every Dragon Ball movie that you should understand, is there's not going to be a very complicated or a very intricate plot. It's very just like, these guys are going to fight. Because if you looked at this plot wise, there is some cool espionage type of stuff that they haven't done in other movies, but like the main issue with Gohan is the same thing that's happened since Cell. Like, that's nothing new. Gohan not training, Gohan knowing, being backed into a corner is something that we've seen time and time again. Even when he says, oh, I am going to be better and I'm going to train. No, he falls back to this. So if you look at it that way, you might be disappointed in this movie, because it is. You're just following these same tropes again and again and again. However, again, I think it's the delivery of how they're playing with these known stories or these known plot points that made the movie enjoyable. Because you're not looking there to see some new twist. Although it would be cool to see a new twist, and I would happily, approve of it and happily watch it. I think they're like, no, let's just stick with this for now. Hopefully in the future they do something new that isn't a retread of plot points of villains or whatever it may be, and give us something completely new like they did with Battle of Gods.
Hey, shout out to Pam. She was adorable and she carried the damn plot.
Yeah, she did. Shout out to Piccolo too.
Yeah, the dad Papa Piccolo. Him and Pan were the best part of the film, man. She played a good part of playing victim with the handcuffs. That was hilarious.
I grew a love for Gammas, for the Gammas. I think
Yes.
they were done very well. And I think right now, it's a good time to kind of go into spoiler talk. So if you guys haven't seen the movie, get off now or go to the end and we'll give you our score. But now we're going to talk about spoilers in the movie. So you have 3 seconds, 2, 1. All right, we're going to spoiler talk. So
Everybody died.
everybody dies. What I guess here's a question for you guys. How do you like the relationship that Gohan or that Piccolo has with Pan?
Adorable.
It's amazing. It's great because I mean it's basically Piccolo and Gohan again, but this time it's the granddaughter, his surrogate.
The better part of that, though, like you're right, Diego, but the better part of that is it is Gohan and Piccolo again, right? But the dynamic of the young part of it is where Piccolo was unsure and so a little bit of Demon Piccolo, right? Where this one is just full Papa Piccolo. So it's like Gohan got the softer side of Piccolo. He created that, where now he's just pure soft Piccolo training Pan.
I love it because it's like when he's training with her, he was like being so nice and caring, and you could just remember like, oh, he was mean. Like he threw Gohan at a freaking wall, and he could have died. But it's like, no, not Pan. Yeah, not Pan. He's never gonna do that to Pan. He's gonna treat her like the princess she is. So it's all good.
Oh god, he did so good with her. It was hilarious.
It's interesting, it's interesting about this relationship is because it mirrors a lot of how Goku was with Gohan. I know if you watch Team 4 Star, you see like this whole thing where Goku basically just leaves Gohan to do whatever he wants, or lets Piccolo, raise him. But it's funny because Gohan is kind of following these same steps in that he's putting other priorities above his family. But the funny thing is when they do attack his family, he doesn't stand for it. And so it's really interesting because he's really mirroring his dad. Because his dad's kind of the same way. His dad does, care for Gohan, cares for Goten. But like he'll go train for like years, or her go train for whatever. But if someone were to hurt his family, he would be there in a heartbeat and just destroy whoever did that to them. So it's funny just how the parallels they have of these Saiyan dads, or at least Goku's side.
Gohan will go train or studying, right, versus training.
Right.
And we saw that, like the whole the plushie collection for Piccolo was great on that.
It was hilarious.
I don't like them anyway.
So good. Yeah, right. He has so many. He has like all the multicolors in the background in his little house. It looked like a boo house.
Um,
It's so good.
it was really cool. They, I think some of the comedy in this was golden, but someone I was like, this is so stupid. Like I think what they've done with some of the characters is they just made them so extremely comical. Because sometimes I'm like, come on, man. Like Bulma's whole thing of how vain she is. I know it's been like a progressive thing, right? We've seen this ever since Battle of Gods, and in Super, she's kind of been more cartoony, and in this one, she like went full blown cartoon. Like you're using the Dragon Balls to lift up your butt and to get your wrinkles taken off, but don't look at,
She went, like,
don't make it.
longer
Yeah,
eyelashes or something like
About 2
oh my
millimeters.
God. Yeah,
I'm like,
so
what happened?
stupid.
What happened to the super genius? Like this girl is just all. I mean, she's always been like, she's always played around with that, with how vain she is. But this one, they just made her full blown Vanity 7. I'm just like, well, whatever.
What was funny is there was somebody making a TikTok video to validate her things. Like, look who she's married to, a Saiyan who doesn't age until they're like 80 years old. Like Vegeta's not gonna look old until he's like 90. Like a 60-year-old man, he's gonna look like 60 till he's 90.
It's
So like
fair.
she's just trying to make do with what she's got. I'm like, I mean,
but she
if you
does
wanna
it subtly
post-
where people can't notice, right? Because like,
Yeah, like,
she's still human. People are gonna know she's famous. Like people are gonna know if she never ages.
Yeah, because so I'm like, I can understand it to a point, but like there's a point where it's like this is just silly, and we all know it.
What about that retcon? Speaking of sins, what about that retcon about Goten and Trunks? That all of a sudden one day they just hit a growth spurt.
Gosh.
I was like,
mean-
what? He's like Piccolo, you didn't know? I'm like, wait a minute. Like Gohan, you weren't like, you progressively got bigger and bigger. When you were 11, you were taller than Goten and Trunks, and
Yeah.
they're both all of them are half Saiyans. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense.
Nope. Makes
I-
no damn sense at all.
I just thought it was funny how they tried to justify them being small for so long. I was like, okay, Toriyama just on his
And then
BS,
just magically, they just grew up.
just on his BS. Like, oh yeah, I wrote that in an article once. That you have like, get out of here.
Now this takes place
1
how
year.
long after the current arc? Granola?
2 at least.
Someone said 2. I don't believe that's
Probably
true.
a year.
It's
I
I
don't-
2 years because Pan is
Because
always
you look at
born.
Pam's age.
Pan's-
Yeah, I guess 2 years, I guess, right?
At least 1 to 2
No.
years.
That still doesn't make sense, but I don't know.
Well, I can't remember how
Anyway.
much time. I don't remember how much time passes between the end of Super to Broly,
Yeah.
and then to Moro and Granola. I don't remember seeing a timeline of how much time has passed. Maybe it wasn't that much,
Yeah.
and that's why they say it's 2 years. But Pan is 3.
Yeah.
We're 1 year away from the end of Z. Right now.
So wasn't she 5 in the English dub, but 4 in the Japanese?
Yeah.
Is that
So
how they did it?
so we're going with the Japanese, which is 4.
Yeah. So yeah, we're really close to the end of, the
So here's
interesting.
here's my question. This has to do with just overall. We got some clarification in this, and I had failed to see this, but Mr. Miles kind of explained to me. But they explained how the energy of the androids work. And I actually, because I had a big issue. I was like, what is going on? How you had 82% of your energy when the androids back in in Dragon Ball Z, they said they never run out of energy.
Yeah, that
So
was a weird thing, wasn't it?
yeah, so one of you guys explained kind of what you told me.
I was gonna explain better than I can.
Well, pretty much how they said it, and I like that because I think it's a question we've been asking a long time. It's kind of a weird, not a plot hole, just kind of a plot point that people I don't think understood. And I think they answered it pretty good in this one. So pretty much, they're always at all these androids. They're at 100% energy all the time, but they have a battery. So that battery will deplete down to 0. But as it goes down to 0, their power will still remain 100% until it reaches 0, then it just depletes. So that's what it means, like when 17 and 18 are talking that they have, unlimited energy. Of course, it needs to recharge. They can fully, run out, but the power level of them will always be 100% until it reaches 0. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but that does kind of answer that weird question we never understood as when we were kids.
Yeah,
So I'm glad they threw that in there. That is one question I never understood, right? Because we knew it was like 19 and 20, they absorb power. But then when Trunks is like, oh, 17, 18, they don't run out of energy. It's like, what the hell does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
you just have to just kill them? Like, that's just weird. So I thought that was nice having at least that explanation that they're always 100%.
And I think that Gohan and Trunks and the future Trunks helmet, that they could never fight the androids to their depletion because they're already way above their power levels, and so that's why I believe Trunks came to that conclusion also, that like their power is infinite. They never run out because they never got to the point where they would actually get them close to that running out of their battery. So it was
the closest. If you think about it, the closest we've seen is probably 17 fighting Piccolo, right?
Piccolo and Cell, yeah. Piccolo and Piccolo and Cell. Cell's probably the one you probably saw more, but yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting stuff. Let's get into this. Let's get into the meat of this, right? so Gohan overall in his arc, I really, really, really hope that they keep what happens in terms of his character progression, that they keep all of that he actually does really understand that he needs to keep training. And I hope they do this, and I hope that they retcon what they did at the end of Z, where he literally doesn't do any training at all. And I hope they retcon that. I hope everything that happens in Z, this is funny, everything that how Z ends is retconned. And I hope this is like the start of the retconning, that Gohan is just going to keep training.
Well, how many years was it before that tournament that Vegeta and Bulma said they hadn't seen Goku?
5 years.
That doesn't hold true anymore then.
Nope.
Anyways, continue. I was just thinking that's just some bullshit.
Yeah, I know. That's why they can't keep this within that 10-year time skip. I did like so there were some callbacks to Gohan at his prime. Obviously during the Cell saga. The way that he gets to, I think it's called, the final official name is like Final Gohan. I thought it was Beast Gohan, but the way that he got to it, you see the little blast of energy that behind him or whatever to signify that he's gonna go beast mode. I love that, and I loved how they gave him the same type of personality that they did when Gohan first turned Super Saiyan 2. I absolutely love that callback. That Gohan was like, "No, you can't."
Overly cocky, and he was just so strong, so much stronger. He just knew he wasn't gonna lose.
Yeah, I love that. I thought it was sick. I thought I was like, "Dang, this is what I wanted to see." Even though we got to see Ultimate Gohan back in the Tournament of Power, like this is the Gohan I wanted to see. This is the Gohan that everyone loves. The Cell Gohan, when Gohan fights Majin Buu for the first time. These are the Gohans we want to see. We want to see him beast mode. And that's literally what they call this transformation, or someone dubbed it Beast Gohan, which I loved.
Looks like I'm seeing it's called Sun Gohan Beast. What a weird name.
It's a weird name, but it's awesome.
I'm just gonna call him Beast Mode.
It's Beast Mode.
I love that it looked like it was definitely inspired by the Super Saiyan 2. Which is, I think, David, we've talked. That's our favorite transformation of all of this, the Super Saiyan 2. But this one's just like Super Saiyan 2, but like on steroids.
I swear
longer hair everywhere.
I swear they took some inspiration from the alleged Super Saiyan 5 leaks that we used to see.
Yes, I didn't even think about that. Good point. There's so much reminiscent with it. I just wonder because technically this is a transformation upon Ultimate, right? So it's kind of weird because if you think of Ultimate Gohan, but he's like in base form, this to me is kind of like that mystic transformation, but in a Super Saiyan form. Is what I kind of felt, in my opinion. But
I try not to think about the mystic form because it doesn't make any sense. Because the Elder Kai said you don't need to transform. This is your full power. But now they're treating it as a transformation, which is weird. Don't understand it. Doesn't make any sense. I'm just kind of turning my brain off for that and just be like, nope. I'll just say that the next transformation that he has is just Beast Gohan. I won't count Mystic as a transformation, even though they've shown that it is, which is kind of
Well, let
stupid.
me ask you this though: with that transformation, and because you're right, with it's supposed to be the final, it doesn't being transformed. Do you guys think that this one's technically a God Key transformation?
Well,
Just being around God Key, like how Vegeta was able to, transform.
there is a caveat to that because
Yeah.
I'm taking it lightly from the Goku Black arc in the manga, because you know how Trunks said he was trained by Supreme Kai and everything, and he was basically he's a Kai. That's why he was able to do a lot of stuff. I want to take it in that vein of why Gohan can get to like god level powers, because his power was unlocked by Supreme Kai, and he's a god. So like in a sense, wouldn't that be the kind of same way, but in his own way?
Well, no, because the original transformation wasn't a God transformation. They hadn't been around like true God Key, right, until Beerus. And then when you got the Tournament of Power and they're around all that, like him training with Goku, like for example, like Vegeta was able to find his own blue transformation or just regular, red Super Saiyan God, was by being around and feeling that energy to be able to harness it, right? And Gohan's already been around that as well. So I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying. It could just be a regular transformation. I'm just wondering if it's God Key or not. I don't know.
I want to say that I think with every, and this is again, hasn't been explicitly explained, but based off the manga from Toyotaro, which again has many plot holes, many issues, but from what we can see from that and what we can see from this movie and what we can see from Super in the anime version, is that each Saiyan can have a variation of a transformation, and the half Saiyans have a wider variation of that. For example, we have Trunks, who has this I don't know, I can't remember what they call it, like Rage mode or Rage Trunks. I can't remember what happened. Super Saiyan Rage, which is his form, which looks like he has God Key, or at least is on comparable to the level of Super Saiyan God at some like power level wise. That's what it looked like, because that's the only way he could have fought Zamasu the way that he did. Gohan, I think, unlocked some sort of other variation above Super Saiyan 2 that I don't know if we could say it's God Key or not, but it pushed him to another level, and I think that's due to his potential, and because he's a half Saiyan, because of that he doesn't have to follow this linear path that Goku or Vegeta have had to follow, and his can branch off to unlock different powers to be at the same level as Blue or God or whatever it may be.
It's really sad that Gohan doesn't train because, we know that half Saiyans do have more potential, but they just don't have the drive.
They are the deadliest ones.
Yep, they just don't have the drive, but they can handle the emotions easier than a Saiyan. So it's just kind of interesting if Gohan were to really step up, like Piccolo and Goku really would be no match if Gohan trained as hard as, his father, for example. There's no way Goku could keep up, but Gohan just doesn't have the drive or motivation to do it. But it does beg the question with this true transformation where it stacks on the power scale.
I'm not sure. I mean, if we base everything by what Piccolo says and what interviews have said, he is at the level of Super Saiyan God. I would dare say Ultra Instinct back when Goku fought Jiren. Like that's based off of what they said in the movie, and because of all the time that's passed, I can only assume that's what it is. Because I would assume Goku and Vegeta, who, again, this is after the Granola arc, and I won't. And if you haven't read that, I won't spoil it here. But they're tremendously more powerful than they were in the Tournament of Power. Both Goku's Ultra Instinct that he has and Vegeta's new form that he's unlocked. So. And I'm pretty sure that they've shown these forms to Gohan and Piccolo, or at least Piccolo. Like, there's no way that they haven't, or have at least discussed it with him. So for Piccolo to say what he says in the movie, it has to be comparable to those levels. And again, it's a huge jump, it's a huge stretch, but that's...
I just want to see more of it in the future. I really like the new form. I mean, if anything, let's get some love to Piccolo. What do I think about Giga Chad Piccolo?
That
was awesome.
I love what is it, the Tree of Wisdom or something on his back? I love that.
I see you like the Kaiju battle, Diego. I knew that was going to be for you.
I will say this, I think this will be a a discussion for another time. But I just do want to I want to mention this is I don't understand how Piccolo is consistently training. He's consistently training by himself, and the fact that he isn't nowhere near as powerful as he should be.
I agree with that.
I really am upset at that. I mean, I think we have to discuss this much later in more detail at a later time. But I think like because we see this guy, he is very concentrated, and it feels like his battle knowledge, which I would say is above, at least the way that he trains, could be above Vegeta's. How it just doesn't translate to him winning more battles despite him being not as powerful. Like I don't like that. Like that's kind of what Dragon Ball Z has done. It's like it's not how smart of a fighter you are. Sometimes I do it for plot reasons, but ultimately that's not something that wins you the battle. You have to just be more powerful.
I agree with that, absolutely.
So I'm hoping this power up just kind of closes the gap and gives Piccolo more of the respect that he deserves, because he's constantly. I mean, I hate when they pull crap like I've said this to Miles tons of times. The crap they pull like Krillin, who doesn't ever train, and now he can hold off Super Saiyan Blue for a bit. I'm like, don't give me that crap. And Piccolo can't for some reason.
Yeah, I'm sick of him being so smart. He just looks at the, he just watches people fight and just gives his intellect, and that's it. At least in this movie, he was in the front lines. You know, he wasn't just on the lookout, just talking to Tien. You know, it was just nice for once. So
it's. I was gonna bring up one more retcon. It was weird because we know that in Dragon Ball Z they've had 2 wishes when Dende much later on, like after they beat Buu, there was 2 wishes, and then for some reason Broly they only had 1, and then they addressed that in this movie where Dende said, "Now I made the dragon stronger, so now instead of 1 wish they have 3." I'm like, what? It just kept changing how many wishes you can have. It was funny.
Well, I remember in Boo, it could do 3 wishes, but bringing back so many people would deplete 2, is what Dende said. So they got 2 wishes in Boo. They had 3, but it took 2 away to wish everybody back alive.
I think so.
But then they changed it to Beerus, which had 2 wishes all of a sudden out of nowhere.
And then in Broly, they had 1.
Yeah, and then it goes... Yeah,
now it has 3 again.
It doesn't make sense. Like 3 was what it was supposed to be with Boo. It's just I don't know why they're shuffling it around. It hurts my head.
Yeah,
I don't get it. I don't get it.
It's best not to think about those things.
They already retconned the thing, like you said, like 5 years, right? 5 years. They've retconned that already. So I don't know. All of this is a big multiverse, and I don't know. GT exists somewhere in this bullshit. I don't know.
And now here's the final thing. So before we give our scores, so they end this movie with Gamma 2 dying, Gamma 1 is alive, Dr. Hedo is alive, and now they're working at Capsule Corp. Carmine, he got what's it called? He got knocked out by Pan, and people saying, "Oh, but he survived." I'm like, I don't think he survived. I don't think you remember seeing the explosion of Cell Max, and I don't think that created a crater. There's no way Carmine survived. I mean, if they did, then they again are pulling some crap out. But again, this could lead to more stories past Dragon Ball Z, the end of Dragon Ball Z, which I'm hoping it does. Because I did like the Gammas. I think
Gammas were great.
I'm hoping that they somehow bring back Gamma 2, because he was really good. But
yeah, I think those again, that could lead to more fun like stories if they were hanging out with the other androids, like 18 and 17. Like that'd be cool.
And they could be good
they're
sparring.
like, in a sense, they're like cousins.
Technically, yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, they're cousins.
And now,
yeah,
I was gonna say, and now we have the next movie that's gonna come out that is gonna focus on Goku, Vegeta, and Broly. I think that's confirmed. I think it's in 2.5 years or something like that. I think they put like a roadmap of when they're supposed to come out. I think it's like in 2025, if I'm not mistaken.
Have a girlfriend in 2.5 years.
July. He does have a type. That's why he likes Bulma, I guess. Well, again, overall, I really liked this movie. I was pleasantly surprised. my score for this, I would put it. I actually raised it up when I for my first time, but I would give it an 8.3 out of 10. That was really good. How about you guys?
I would give it a. I would say a solid 9. I enjoyed it way too. I enjoyed it a lot because I've seen it twice too.
No, I'm torn between an 8 and an 8.5, so I'll just mirror Davis, do an 8.3.
So you're a follower. Okay, you'll follow me. Just kidding.
I still know it's 8.5 or 8. I don't know. I'll just do the 8.3 and I'll follow you. I'll fusion with you. How about that?
No, we're gonna fail like Goten and Trunks did. Apparently they haven't done it in years, which is false, but whatever. Well, anyway, thanks guys for watching. Remember we have more videos on the channel. If you like watching our Pokemon Nuzlocke, Soul Link, you can watch those. We'll be putting new videos of those up about once every 2 weeks. So watch out for those and more videos and more podcasts on Spotify, Podomatic, and Apple Podcast. So thanks guys for watching. We'll see you next time. This is David the Smash Fan.
Tech guy.
Mr.
And this is Chimino Podcast.